Okay, with Dianna Ippolito, The Two of Us is the winning screenplay, LGBTQ plus film festival. 1971, two sons come up to their mother and they want to transition. I guess she's a devout kind of Christian or the Catholic,
Catholic, yes.
and yeah, crisis of faith. This
Sure.
is 1971. This would be
Right.
a story now in
Exactly.
2026. This is
Except for
55 years ago.
when nobody was talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, but like two, not only one son, but both sons, right?
Both
So,
sons, correct.
so is this based on a true story?
It is. It's inspired by a true story. I read an article about these two brothers that wanted to become sisters and how they lived in Michigan, how it all like went down. And I was like, that must be quite, something for the mom to go like not just one son, but two. And like that's a whole thing and her religion. And I thought, well, this has built-in conflict. I think I need to write this story.
So, what did you do? Did you just kind of like, did you like dig deeper into the story and kind of
I
like
did
learn
as much
everything
I did
about
as
it?
much research as I could about the actual people. And then I actually started doing interviews with people from that generation who had the operation and what that was like, and to their families. And a lot of what I put into the script came from all of my interviews, like little bits of this person's story and this person's story, and I kind of just melded it all into one.
And I'm just so curious. Are they still alive today? The two
The two,
boys?
yes, they are
They're
still they're
still,
in their late 70s. Yeah.
and they're they're
And they and
they
they and
they've
they married
transitioned
and they
with.
had go ahead.
So they've transitioned. They became women and they lived their
Yeah.
lives. Yeah.
They lived their lives. They both got married and, wanted to be like, they weren't vocal about it. They just went on to have their lives. And, that was it.
Okay, so then so then you chose it to make it from the point of view of the mom, I guess, right, in the
Yeah,
story.
I was trying to find a more unusual way in so that it was more, it was a unique story, not just of one person's transition, but like what happens in the family unit, because I thought that hadn't been done before and what that would be like. And also, like I said, not just one sibling, but the other and what that's like, that dynamic, that bonding that I could write about. And then ultimately the mom, becoming an advocate and, kind of shifting her worldview as her sons transition into women.
Well, I just had a podcast 3 weeks ago with somebody who like someone made a film, and it wasn't about transitioning. They're just a filmmaker,
Uh-huh.
and they transitioned, and their parents were very religious in the South, and their parents transformed, and
Yeah.
they had to go through that. They had to go through that whole crisis of I guess crisis of faith, as you put in your script, and so I saw the real story, like even happen now, and even the person that I talked to, like they were blown away how much their parents, because they thought it was their parents were just going to say, I don't want to see you ever again, right? They were
Yeah.
that entwined into the religion, and they had to
Correct.
like separate from themselves from the church and their friends and all that stuff because for the love of their child.
That's right. That's exactly my story too.
Yeah,
It's everything that the mom grew up believing in, and then she's like, but if God says this about about people being transgender, I don't believe that because my sons are not that. You know what I mean? So that's where the crisis of faith comes in. Like the teachings of the Catholic Church say one thing, but then I'm actually seeing it firsthand, and I don't believe it. Like I refuse to believe it. Kind of thing.
well, I don't want to get on a soapbox, but the teachings of the Catholic Church say a lot of things that nobody does now, right? So,
Right, exactly. So it's just that first story, in the early 70s, and I thought, how interesting would it be to be, to write about that time first of all, and be at the sort of like the forefront of it, where
yeah.
it's where it's still not being talked about, it's still underground, it's still a dirty word, it's like hush hush, it's still the neighbors, whispering to each other. So I had a good time, finding doing the research for that and seeing what that would have been like back then.
It's one of I know this is kind of a simple point, but it's one of those things where you just have to stop caring what people think, right?
Yeah, ultimately that's one of the
Yeah,
themes of the story. You
yeah.
just have to just like, forget it. Like it has to be, just your life and what's happening to you and not society.
My point of always this because there's like I remember like this for some reason this has become a big topic in the last like 5 years, especially even in my circles where like family members or whatever because it seems like it went in one direction and they felt it went too far in the other direction.
Hmm.
And so like within children transitioning and it's playing sports. I don't know why that became a an issue. Well, anyways, but basically it became a topic, right? It became
Right.
on a political, like a presidential it was a discussion in a presidential debate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Right. Even all these, like, look, it's a big topic back then, and it's a huge topic right now. It's like it goes on and on. It's like there's a gold mine of stories that you can tell, just like you can tell a lot of stories about World War II. You know what I mean? There's never not going to be an interesting story about World War II. You know what I mean? It's a gold mine
yeah.
of stories because everybody has a different story to tell. It's never going to be the same.
Okay, so what made you kind of spend your time writing this script? I'm sure it took a long time researching. And are you a big advocate for this subject, or was it just
Well,
because this?
well, it was two things. First of all, the story just hit home for me about what that would be like, and also I have a lot of friends who are trans, and also my niece is gay, so I'm sort of I'm peripherally around it.
Yeah.
I'm not involved per se in that way, but I just thought, what would that be like at that time, and how hard it would have been, but also a triumphant one. I didn't want to make a sad story. That wasn't the point. It wasn't to have this
Yeah.
really, story of conflict and angst and you leave the theater going, "Oh man." It was more the opposite. I'm like how they got through it and how they triumphed at the end.
So it's interesting that it's two brothers, right?
Yes.
And what made me kind of stand out for that is that they have each other's strength.
That's exactly right. That was the point for me where I thought, oh, I can dive into that. I have siblings. I know what that's like to lean on each other. And then to have this secret, the one in the story, hasn't told the other one, and then all of a sudden it comes out and it's like, oh my God, me too. Oh my God, what's that like? Like what? So I just thought as I was conceiving the story, I thought to myself, this has such not a unique way of telling it, plus the mom and the whole crisis of faith. And I just thought, yeah, I with everything that I as a writer have gone through myself and my own crisis of faith, I could put myself into the story even though I'm not trans. I could still come from my perspective of my anxieties and my what I've seen around me, and just write from that perspective, because everybody has that um hardship that they've gone through, so whether it's transitioning or anything else, you can still relate to the story because it's really about family and overcoming these things.
Are you a parent yourself?
I'm not.
So, but it's one of those things where like it's like because it's easy to be have an ideological point of view, right? Where like,
Yeah.
oh, I believe in this until it happens in your own life, right? And then
Right, exactly. And
yeah,
so I felt like yeah, despite being a parent, I was sort of like growing up, my nieces, I was like the second mom. I helped my sister raise her daughters, and so I live with them, so I was sort of the other mom. So I totally get it from that perspective, not biologically, but from having lived in the house with my sister's kids and raised them when they were little.
and then your niece had to come out, I guess, and
Yeah, yeah. So, we were like, what's happening? And so we had to go through that too. And yeah, so that experience, sort of all these little experiences throughout my life, and then my friends also transitioning, kind of informed how I wrote it. So I could talk to them, and I
okay.
do more research, and that, that was just very helpful to me to have my own life experience in front of me and say, what do you think of this story? You think this would work? I could ask, someone who's actually gone through it, and then in all my other interviews that I did, I was able to get that perspective and follow-up questions that were really great. I'm not just reading about it. I'm actually, talking to them.
So, what's your experience writing screenplays? Like, vast experience. I'm
Um,
just curious. What's your background?
um, I've been writing for about 20 years. I took my first screenwriting class at the American Film Institute, and after I did the first class, I was like, oh my gosh, I was a fashion photographer, and I just had to change my trajectory of my career. I've like, oh, this is what I've been like working towards, because I always liked telling stories and writing short stories, but never thought of myself as a screenwriter. And then I took that class, and then I was off and running. I was like, okay, so yeah, at the age of 30, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not going to do this thing that I went to school for. I'm going to do this other thing that I really like doing. And so I started doing it, learning my way. It took me a few years to really feel like I was an actual screenwriter. I understood, what it means to have a plot point and a ticking clock and stakes and, conflict and all that stuff. And I love writing stories that are based on true events. I just find that those are super fascinating. And yeah, this is probably like my 30th script I've ever written. I write a lot. I try to write 2 or 3 a year, kind
Oh,
of a
wow.
machine. I love it. I mean, I talk movies in my sleep to my neighbors, to my friends. I've ruined movies for them because I'm like, do you see that? Look at that production value. They're like, shut up. So yeah, I love it. I'm super passionate about it.
That's a lot of content that you've written.
Yeah, a lot.
Do you stick with a certain genre or?
I wanted to, I did it first. I started writing romantic comedies and then comedies. And then I thought, what are some of my favorite movies? And they're like All the President's Men and Norma Ray, just really interesting whistleblower movies. And I started to write dramas and true stories. And that's sort of, I made that transition and I still write the others. But I find that my truest passion comes from wanting to write stories in a way that those stories that I watch moved me. So that's what I try to do. I'm like, okay, well, those movies informed me and became in my DNA. So I'm going to try and write a story of that caliber myself, so that it helps somebody else's, passion. Gets them excited about movie watching.
They're like you just all the Brendan Spen, No Moray, your script, like this script that hopefully will be a film one day. Because
Hopefully,
it's no, there's it's the human condition, but there's also a political kind of underlying political theme,
yes.
right?
I grew up on the 70s movies, so I wanted to. That's another reason why I was like, 1970, what? I'm
But you're
there.
not, but you're not from the '70s, though, right?
I
Like,
actually was born in 69, so I grew up in the 70s.
well, I guess I would say you grew up in the '80s because you were like your formative years, your teenage
Yes.
years
My
were the
teenage years, it's funny because I don't love the 80s. I don't like love the music or anything. I have always been just stuck in the 70s. I guess because I remember watching Star Wars and Rocky and going to see Jaws. And so all of my
you see
formative,
Jaws. You were what is that
yeah,
'77? You were
75. Can you believe that? I got taken to see that.
was that
Um,
'75? Yeah, so you were like 5 6 years old. Like that's
yeah, they
crazy.
actually took, isn't that crazy? It's criminal. But
It is. It
yeah,
kind of
so all
is.
right. But yeah, so all of my, I feel like in the music, I
Yeah.
still, listen to my yacht rock all the time. So I just can't seem to get out of the 70s. Like I feel like it was such a golden age, and the 80s to me were not. Some would argue, I know, but for
No,
me
but
personally,
to be fair, like it was a different time, right? Like
it was a different
kids
time.
would do different things, right? So
Yeah,
they would go to the movies
yeah,
and yeah. So but basically, but that's so then the '70s. Like I always look at the '70s, and I was born in the '70s, but I guess I was raised in the '80s. Is that it was like there's a lot of really good movies, but then there's a lot of really bad movies. So we only remember the
yeah,
good, right?
yeah,
But there's a lot of great movies, but then the rest of them are like not very good at all. That's like my research of the '70s, like movies.
yeah,
So, but the
yeah.
ones
I
that
know.
stand out really stand out. I guess that's the best
Yeah,
way.
exactly. I think that, and also people were writing about darker and deeper things in the
Yeah,
70s than they are even today, So the 80s became about like Police Academy and those kind of movies and
action movies. Yeah,
action movies and all that stuff. And so it kind of got away from the gritty life experiences people were writing about. So I was like, let me go back to that when I write this one, so I can get my yayas off and do it because I love it.
I was reading a book about just recently about the '80s movies, and someone mentioned that it's like the worst decade for movies, but the only movies that people remember are the silly comedies.
Hmm.
The ones that stand out, like Ghostbusters or
Right.
Caddyshack. Those are the ones that jump out, like that are have a timeless appeal. The rest of them are kind of like they kind of
Yeah.
run into each other, action, whatever. It's
Yeah,
a
I
little
think a
worse
lot
than
what
like a
happened,
great.
like when something got popular or did well, then everybody did the same movie. They were like, oh, we got
Exactly.
to, you know what I mean? And that's why they run together.
Yeah. Whereas the '70s had a director's kind of medium, they called it, and then like it had a certain uniqueness. Even the first Jaws and Star Wars are were unique for their time,
One of
right?
its,
Like
yeah,
they were,
one of its kind. Yeah, they were the yeah, they were the initial people to
yeah.
kind of change the formula of what was happening in cinema. So, and I love that they all worked together. They all helped each other on each other's films, and I wish we could go back to that. Brian De Palma was helping Spielberg, and Spielberg was helping Lucas. You know what I mean? It was all like one big happy family. I wish, time travel, can we please?
Well, I think it's like that to a certain extent, right? But you just realize, but what they brought up though is like it was like I was going to say a very derogatory term. I was going to call it a sausage fest, but basically,
Yeah,
which I didn't
I
say.
see what you're saying.
But
yeah.
yeah, it was we need more female kind of dominance, right? Like it
Yeah.
was like very very male driven roles, I guess.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like, and when I think of it, I don't think of it in that way, but
yeah.
absolutely it is. So yes, in terms of like today, of course, I want to embrace that and the fact that there's more chances for women and writing and everything. But at the same time, like I still love the content that came out of there.
No, because you brought this movie's based in 1971, so like this is right before feminism started taking off, right?
Right. It was
And,
just bubbling. Yeah. Hmm.
right, and then Watergate's about to happen,
Right.
and right, so
Hmm.
so basically it's like there's stuff
Right on the
happening.
precipice. Yes. It's all just coming into view.
Yeah, and then these two boys in Michigan want to become girls, which
Right.
shocks a lot and like and really angers for some reason a certain population as well, right?
Well,
So
yeah, because they're freaks, they're monsters, and then you couldn't even read about it in the library, I mean, like there was nothing that you could research. You had to go to the university and go there to their library and figure out what it was, and do it all underground and hush hush, that's
like
imagine.
you watch like the 90s. I'm like going through decade to decade. I've been watching some 90s movies and they do a lot of transitioning jokes. There's a lot of really bad jokes that don't really age well that were
Yeah.
apparently were funny back then, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, they don't land today. But you
they
don't know
don't
at the
really
time. At the time you don't realize that they're in bad taste, and all of a sudden a couple of decades go by or whatever, 15 years, and you're like, "Ooh, that's not okay."
I wonder if those ladies, because they're in their 70s now, I wonder what they would think of your script.
It's funny. I did try to find them. I
Yeah,
there's just they just wanted to not be out there, you
that's
know.
what's cool about it, right?
Yeah, they were just like, we're not here to do anything a spotlight on us. We just did it. We needed to do it, and that was it. Done.
Yeah, but there's a story there, meaning that it's important to get it out there, right? So,
Right. And
yeah.
I happened to come upon this article by chance. I actually found it in 2016 and tucked it away in my folder of things to write. And then I just had finished what I was doing. And I'm glad I waited because I became a better writer over the years, a stronger writer. So I could
Mhm.
tackle it with more experience. And so it was just in my folder. Like I do that all the time. I find something, an article or something, and I throw it in a folder. And then I go back and I review it. And then I was like, oh, this story, this is right now. I have to do this now. And so I did.
So then you're sending it out to festivals, I see, like, and I hope it's getting a positive reaction.
It is. It is. I actually have a producer that's interested in helping me out of New York, but they are super busy. So I'm trying to find another production company that could take it on and maybe get this other producer involved once I'm a little bit further along with it. But yeah, no, I'm doing my best to get it out there and to get cold emailing, which is not doesn't always work, but sometimes it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, just trying to find the right person that will click with the material, as you do with every script, but still trying.
So you're like your last name is you're Italian, so I'm assuming you're Catholic yourself.
I am, so I was able to bring a lot of that into it.
Yeah, you know the
So
rules, right?
that firsthand crisis of faith, I can imagine my mother, what it would be like. So I took from my own experience what I thought my mother, how she would react. How I remember growing up, in my neighborhood and what it was always gossipy in my neighborhood in suburbia. So I can, imagine, I was able to imagine very easily what that would be like.
So it says in your bio that your mom was Mexican and your
Hmm.
dad was Italian.
Yeah. We were the first Mexican Italian family in the neighborhood, very Caucasian. So we were a little bit the anomaly on the block, I remember. So it was very gossipy in the early 70s. A lot of my mom was always listening to her Hispanic music very loud, and we had a bright blue house that wasn't white and wasn't yellow. It was definitely a Latina Italian family. So it was an interesting growing up experience.
That's yeah, it's interesting. So what are you? I'm assuming you're working on another script now. You're always kind of moving forward.
Yeah, I have a few things I want to do. I like to change genres. Sometimes if I write something that's darker or deeper. Sometimes I like to like change it up so I can like have a little levity. So I just finished writing a high concept romantic comedy that I just got a manager for. So I've been looking for a new literary manager. So they read the script and they're like, I'll sign with you. And I was like, yay. So he's going to start sending it
Amazing.
out in a couple of weeks. Yeah, no, I mean, I've been praying for that for a while. It's so hard to get a manager because they're always like, well, what are you about to sell? You know, what do you have? I'm like, I have lots of stuff, but I need someone to help me sell it. You know, that's where you come in. So it was painful to just keep trying and trying and knocking on the door. And they were always like, yeah, this is good, but not good enough. I'm like, really? Or you just have too many clients? Like, you know, you begin to like wonder about your self-worth and how good you are. And then you find the right person. Like he like immediately read the script and said, you know, I'm not a rom-com guy, but I love this script. You had a lot of heart, and I saw that you were, you know, I saw your references to the 80s rom-coms and I got where you were going with it. So it was actually a really great conversation to have with someone who got me as a writer and understood what I was trying to do as an homage. And so yeah, that just happened like 4 days ago.
So I'm look on your IMDb page. It said it looks like you've done a lot of like
I
you've written a
have
lot
all
of
by myself, right?
like you did. These are all the short like a lot of shorts. I guess you did
Yeah,
directed.
I wrote and directed a number of shorts, and then I wrote and directed two features that I wrote and produced.
Wow.
And then I sold my first script that I did not direct a couple of years ago. It was a holiday script. And I just finished making another holiday movie because holiday movies sell. So like again, like I don't just contain myself to one genre. Sometimes people say, "Oh, Dianna, you should stay in your lane." I'm like, "Well, I write what I want to see. Like I like holiday movies, I like thrillers, I like action movies. Like take me to Top Gun, of course, you know, take me to go see Jaws, you know, on the big screen 40, 50 years later, I'm there, you know. So it just to me, I just write what I want to see.
So what are the like Christmas movies you wrote?
hmm I just produced one. We just shot it in January and February, and it's in post production right now. And I have someone who's already interested in coming on for distribution. So we're going to see if it's going to go to Hulu or Netflix, hopefully. If not, Lifetime or Hallmark. But I'm hoping for more like a Hulu. So yeah, that's all in the works. Just trying to just trying to get more of my work out there, so more doors will open, so I can do movies like The Two of Us and the other smaller films and niche films that I've written.
Yeah, I'm surprised we our paths haven't crossed yet. Like just like looking at what you've done. I'm
Well,
surprised that we haven't connected yet until now.
yeah, well, it's nice to connect with you now. I feel it's
Yeah.
very easy to talk to you, so I'm glad that we're doing it now.
Yeah, because you're very proficient. That's a really good, you got a lot going on. Mistletoe connection, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's the one that I sold. Thank God, because
Yeah.
after I sold it during the pandemic, and it took a while for them to make it, and then it finally got made. But as soon as I had that made, I was able to cold email better. I was cold emailing other companies saying, "Oh, I just got produced, and here's my movie," and they were like, "Okay, well, what do you want to pitch?" Before that didn't work. I would just, my emails would go into the ether, and then
Sure, of course.
as soon as
Yeah.
I said I was a produced writer, then suddenly they're like, well, yeah, okay, well, what are you pitching? Like, what would you like? Send us some log lines, which is what I wanted to do initially, so it just took
Well,
having one thing sold to help me.
my wife's friend it swears that she's seen all the Christmas movies, and she happens to be Jewish too, which is funny. And I happened to be going to her house this Saturday for Russell. We have kids for
Yeah,
WrestleMania, and
yeah,
so I will ask her if she's seen this movie. We've seen this Little Connection. So,
yeah.
but okay, so tell people what it's about. So basically, you sell it, but then what do they do? Like, because I see another writer attached to it. So what do they do? They kind of like take it from you and then you kind of rewrite it their own way, or like what's the
No,
process?
actually, I actually got connected with Marie, my co-writer. I pitched
Okay.
her the story, and she's the one who had a manager. I did not. So I was
Okay.
like, why don't we write this together, and then you give it to your agent manager, and then they take it out because I couldn't. My cold emailing wasn't working.
Gotcha.
So we
That's
did
nice.
that. That was the initial connection that we had, and then we've written a few things together since then. Yeah, so I think I had the outline, and then I said, let's take a portion. You take a few pages, I'll take a few. I think it was 10 and 10 and 10 and 10. Like we would do 10 pages each, and then she gave it to her manager who sent it out, and then when we sold it in the contract, I think we had to do a, yeah, we had to do three drafts, which didn't really change the story. It was more polishing. It was like, oh, this line or that line, or they would, they
Sure.
would never say this line. And it was more, it wasn't structural. It was all just polishing.
And that's like a tone meeting with like the director and the producers. Is that what happens?
Just the producer.
Okay.
Yeah, and then once we were finished, then it went into production like right away. Like we finished it in, I think we sold it in April, did all of the drafts by June, and then they were filming like 2nd of July, and then it was up on streaming by November. It was fast.
And then you discovered, did you see it before it came up on streaming? Did they give you like,
No, no. I was like, I was like, everyone, it's gonna be tonight at 9 o'clock,
yeah,
and everyone was like, a Christmas movie, Deanna? Yes.
you're happy with the,
I
for a
you know what
Christmas movie?
you could be, yeah, just to be candid, yeah, you could literally have really cheesy actors, and you could be like, oh my God,
Yeah,
they
totally.
ruined it. They ruined
Yeah,
it. No, I was praise Jesus. I had when you watch the movie, I was like, oh, the guy's really cute. He's charismatic. The girl's really lovely. I mean, they were wonderful actors, and I was just sitting back going, okay, to have my first one be taken out of my control to given someone who doesn't know me, they nailed it. I mean, I even wrote to the cast, and I even wrote to the production designer, and I was like, you
yeah.
guys, you saw what we wrote, and you did it, and thank you.
That's good because like yeah, it's really about like especially because it's because I know a lot of directors who like because a lot of these movies are made in Canada, right?
Yeah, this was
So
made in Canada.
I know a lot of directors who direct these films, and it's so fast, right? They have to do it so fast,
Yeah,
and they don't like they have money, but they don't have like crazy money, right?
right.
And there's sometimes they're doing like like 5 6 pages a day, right? And
I'm
then
sure,
it's
but I think they did it in just under 3 weeks, so it was
there you
fast.
go, right? So that's 15 days, right? So which is
Right,
crazy,
crazy.
right? Yeah, so and it's like and sometimes the tone doesn't work.
Yeah,
It's like it's the script is there and it's like it's just the film doesn't work because
right.
it was rushed too much and then like the sometimes the actors are working and they're acting in different movies.
Yeah.
It really is a kind of like sometimes it gets saved in editing, but sometimes if the director doesn't get it, then it doesn't work. It's simple as that.
100%. And
Yeah,
I was scared, and I was like, "Ee,"
yeah.
and then I watched it, and I was like, ah. Thank you for my first one. Thank you.
There was one that was about like the because I'm a big Buffalo Bills fan, so there was like one about the Bills, like romance and Buffalo, whatever like that, and it was like
Yeah.
it had an all-star cast, like had
Uh-huh.
some pretty great actors in it, and the film doesn't work. It just
Oh, that's
no
the worst.
because
Yeah, it can
yeah
happen.
yeah
I think it can happen when the sometimes it's the director's fault. If the director doesn't tell you or give you notes on how to deliver your lines, it could be very
yeah
bad. It could be very big and overacting, and when the
100%.
actual line is not bad, it's just the way that you did it. So sometimes that can happen too. Like they don't understand what you've written. So there's always that chance that,
And there's got to be chemistry between the two. I know
yeah,
it's a cliche, but it's there.
yeah, because it
They gotta
definitely pops
connect
on screen. It does. And what
because
was
you
really
know they're
great,
getting together, right? You know they're getting it together at the end.
yeah,
We're
you're
watching for
interested in how
conflict.
they do it.
Yeah, yeah,
And that was great is that they did an interview, just as an aside, really quick. And I was super, this is what really warmed me was that they all were saying that they were all good friends now. Like, oh my God, I wrote something that, and they did a set and they came to set, and now all these people are friends and now they're getting each other jobs. And I'm like, oh my God, I did that. Like, my little story, our story, me and Marie, like, we did that. So it was pretty cool. I want
well,
more and more.
I want this to be made into a film. I think it's a great script. I really do. I think it's important. And the person who plays the mom,
Hmm.
it's
Right?
such a great
Killer
role.
role, right? I think so
Yeah,
too.
it really is. And like someone, you get someone attached,
Yeah.
to really nail that role. And yeah, you got yourself a great film.
I think now that I have this manager, we're supposed to do like script by script basis, and he doesn't even know about this one. I just pitched him the rom com, the How to Date Your
Yeah.
Dog movie. So that's gonna be next up for me. Like he's gonna get this one out. He asked me the other day, like, who do you want to go out to? Who's your A list? Who's your B list actors?
Who is your A list? Who would you, like ideally in an ideal world? Who would you want to act in this? Who would you want to be the mom?
Oh, it's funny. I was channeling the whole time. I was channeling Sally Field. Like if I could find like a Sally Field like today, I would think she would nail it.
It's the normal way Ray flashback, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it is. I
yeah,
really loved her strength in that movie, and I think that's why I chose it because in Norma Ray, she also has a crisis of faith, and I don't know. There's something about the way she was an everyday woman, but also she had the strength of a leader, and that's kind of who you want for this role. Someone
she's got
who's
vulnerability too, right? Like she's vulnerable, right?
that's exactly right.
Yeah,
So yeah, I don't know. It has to be someone who's in their 30s, and I'm not really sure. Like the older actors that I think could play it easily are now too old for it. So,
yeah,
that's the tough one. She's only like 34 in the movie or 35. So
yeah,
I would have to give it more thought. Like, yeah.
yeah. Like because yeah, because you because like Meryl Streep, Sally Field, they're
Yeah,
too
all of those. I'm like, yes,
they're
okay,
too, like
yes.
Julianne
Yeah.
Moore, they're all too old for the role. You need to have
Right?
yeah,
Julianne Moore would be amazing,
yeah, she
right?
would be amazing, but she's not. Yeah,
Yeah,
too
she's
different
like,
era.
right,
Oh
exactly.
God, we're getting old.
Darn it.
But yeah, no, I'm gonna give it some thought. I'm gonna
Oh,
like because
good. Thank you. I need some
no,
help.
there's so many good acting. There's so many good actors out there, and like
And there's probably like maybe there's a British actress I don't know about, or
yeah.
maybe there's an
But it's
Australian
somebody
that
it's
you
someone
know.
who hasn't done this role yet, right?
Yeah, yeah, someone that you don't have to associate maybe with anything else. Who's like,
Yeah,
oh, they're a name, but I forgot about them, or oh yeah,
yeah,
that's great.
exactly. It's like they want to do a role like this, but then nobody's giving them the chance yet.
Yeah, yeah, like then was giving them the opportunity. Perfect. That's okay. We're gonna put that out there.
Like
It's
Emma
happening.
Stone could do it, I guess, right?
Emma Stone. Actually, could she do it? Let me think. Well, yes. When I think of Emma Stone, I think of dramatic more than vulnerable, but I think she could be both.
Yeah,
Yeah. Actually, that's not a bad idea.
yeah.
All right. Who do we know
She
we can
hasn't
get
done
to
a
her?
role like she's got 2 Oscars, which is amazing, but she hasn't done a role like
She
this
hasn't
yet.
done a role like this. Yeah,
She
that's
hasn't had
true.
the arc yet, like for
Right.
this role, right?
Right. That's
Because
and
she's
that's what
playing like she's got to start in a common situation, like she's a common mom, right?
right. She's a common
Typical,
mom.
and
Hmm.
then she arcs into what she is. So she's got to have that strength to
Right.
get to where that arc. That's what's so great about the role is that she becomes a different human being at the end of it, right? So
That's right.
in her 30s,
100% different. Of
yeah,
36 years of thinking something one way and then completely shifting
and for the better too,
for the
right?
better.
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
which we need more movies like that too, right?
I think so.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
That was
Yeah, that
fun.
was the one thing, but there's others out there, right? So who can do it? So
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I just have to give it some more thought.
yeah,
Put together a deck now. Now that I have the script and I'm putting it in festivals, now I can kind of shift gears and yeah, start thinking about marketing who I want to go out to. Because now that I have this manager who can hopefully go out for me better than my
yeah.
cold emails, then it becomes
No,
a
no, no.
little
Yeah, she
serious.
needs to read the script. Emma Stone, right? So, and that's a jumping off point because then she's interested. You know, it works, right? And
Yeah,
then other people
right.
are
And then you
interested.
get more people in play.
Yeah,
And plus, I think she has a
exactly.
production company. So let's see if we can get to her.
There you go. There we go. Right. So, all right. Congratulations. Great script, and
Thank you.
just you're very proficient. Like you're just doing stuff all the time. And I know it's not easy. It's not easy.
It's
It's
definitely
like
a hard road.
exactly. It's hard, and you do it. And I'm sure that you've had your own journey yourself, and you put on a good face. But it's like I know what you've gone through is not easy. So
It is not.
congratulations.
Well,
I know.
thanks.
I
As a
understand.
fellow filmmaker, I know that you feel the pain. So thank you for acknowledging it.
All right, let's talk again soon when we showcase another script of yours or
All
a
right, that'd
film
be
as
great.
well. Thank
A
you.
film, correct. We'll put it out there in the universe. It's happening.
Thank you. All right, let's talk
Thank
soon.
you. Thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye.